non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity.
This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing.
Imagine what we'll do 50,000 years or a million years. Incomprehensible.
Unidentified flying object, saucer shape, bar shape.
That's some science fiction stuff right there.
We just made it. We just made it. We were doing so many things right before we went live. It is December 17th, 2024. I'm Tom Thompson, aka Cortex Zero. You are watching live, thank God, the Unidentified Anomalous Podcast. And I'm here with one of my dearest friends in the world. He's in the co-pilot seat today. Digby was going to be here, but because of the time differences and such, didn't quite work out for him. But we're going to try to have him here with us, all three of us, on the next episode next week. But let's welcome Tyler Astral to the show. What's up, brother?
Yo, what's up, man? How's it going?
I've had a day. We were just talking about this, and I am going to be as blunt and as honest as I can here. This whole drone thing, okay? That's like the main subject of the show today. It's what everybody's talking about. That's fine. But we're not regurgitating too much here. There is a piece of footage that has been making the rounds. I think it actually started technically last night. And what was nice about it, too, is that the individual actually put as much detail into their post as they could. They uploaded the raw files. They uploaded like a compilation of all of their videos to a shorter clip that we'll be showing you guys here, just for time's sake. Then they uploaded like the full start to finish video clip, and there's like multiple of them, and they uploaded those to YouTube. They were very specific about the type of camera that was being used and such. And the reason I want to jump into this immediately is because I think it's going to set the tone for the rest of the show. So before we show that video clip, if you guys are new, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're into this subject matter. And if you just have an open mind, curiosity about what's going on around you, and if you feel like we do, that we're being gaslit by our so-called representatives in government and the military, and you want to seek answers just like we do here. So, the submission statement from this individual. I'm going to read it verbatim. It's not long. It says, "These are all short clips from a lot of video I took during my flight from Chicago to Newark on 12/16/24. Flashing blue lights were interesting because I was not actually able to see that with my naked eye. That's interesting. Flight was UA2359 using an iPhone 16 Pro Max. Didn't notice a reaction from other passengers, but I was glued to my window. Started noticing the objects about 20 minutes into the flight, and then towards the end of the flight, the objects show more detail than I noticed with my naked eye. I'll post the full uncut video to YouTube tomorrow for everyone's viewing pleasure." In the videos, the time span, it ranged from 4:51 p.m. to 7:08 p.m., and they posted the links to the uncut videos. So the reason I am making such a big deal about this particular video clip is that, well, you know what? I'm not, why don't we just watch it? You'll see for yourselves. You'll see exactly why. This is the first video clip in the midst of this entire drone situation where I got goosebumps. I got chills seeing this. It really took me by surprise because I hadn't seen something like this. So here we're going to throw it up. Some of the footage is going to be from different parts of the flight. Now, obviously, see a bunch of lights. Okay. well, those could be drones, right? So that's what I thought going into this. I'm like, all right. Now, it's getting different angles on it, zooming in, and I'm not seeing details that were normally being associated with the footage that people have been taking in my state of the drones which usually feature 3 lights, one in the middle, red, blinking. Sometimes there's a little bit of green going on in there. But it gets better. It gets so much more interesting. Pay very close attention here. Take a good look at what you're seeing there, okay? Whatever this light happens to be. There's what it seemed like hundreds of them. Now, this is it. Look. That's a drone. That's a drone right there. That's what people are seeing in my state. And have been posting video clips of ad nauseum at this point. So you're seeing in one video clip that there is a clear distinction between whatever these balls of light are and that drone. Tyler, care to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting it's an interesting video for sure. I think up where they were with the flight, it's tough to say even what those objects were. I was listening, and man, it's gotten to where the sightings or videos now, like it would have been nice to have not a commotion, but like sort of like an acknowledgement from other people, multiple people in the video, or multiple like other videos that might also be supporting this as well. Yeah, it's just tough. It's tough to say, but definitely with all the activity going on right now, which has been really the story at hand around the world. I was driving to work yesterday and listening just to the radio, regular radio. I don't even listen to the radio that much, but the radio, it did like a 2-minute news run through, and the drones was a story on that. And I was like, wow, it's made it to where just in the local news of radio stations, people are talking about this stuff, which has just taken the whole topic, I think, to another level. So, yes. But I also wanted to ask you, Tom, so is this season 3? What
of
season
our podcast? Is it?
Of the podcast.
This would technically actually be season 2, I believe.
Season 2. Okay.
I wanted to break it up a certain way, but then Digby was doing it a different way, but I'm pretty sure this is season 2.
All right. No, I'm glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to just all this stuff. I'm glad we're starting off now, and it just seems like there's been so much going on, just even recently too. And you have been right in the middle of things and jumped in a couple of other spaces, and we've discussed this stuff. But I'm glad to be on the podcast and really dig into the topics that are going on.
I'm super, super stoked to have you here, man. Like I said, I always figured this would eventually happen, and at certain times Digby will be able to join us, and I think that's like a really solid group to have conversations about this. And with a lot of you that are watching the show that follow me on X especially know that I've been dealing with a lot of technical issues with my PC, still dealing with that. So I'm doing my best. That's kind of why there's been like a lull, because there's been certain days where blue screen after blue screen after blue screen, just trying to do normal things. And then there's days like today where, knock on wood, all is quiet. So I have a few things that I have to do. And look, welcome to capitalistic society. I have to raise money. There's just no computer parts are not cheap. Right. And, so just know that if you're someone who supports the channel in the least, that when you share it, it helps get more eyes on it, which means there's more ad revenue that comes in. That's just how it works. I'm not grifting here. I'm just telling you like it is. If you submit a donation as an appreciation of what we do here, that is pretty much going to go immediately towards getting this straightened the fuck out and, in my mind, clear, because it has been so stressful. And it's like, it's near Christmas. I don't need this right now. It's supposed to be like my sort of happy time of the year, but because I have seasonal disorder, it's like, my relationship with the sun causes a little bit of chaos. It's like, oh, you're so far away. Come back. I want to feel better about myself, but I'm doing okay. So we're here. We're live. That's good. Now, I had a conversation with my mom this morning, and I actually I don't even know how I convinced her, but I was talking about the clip that I had shared on X a few days ago of Danny Sheehan talking at Yale, talking about an intervention is imminent and things of that nature. It's got almost 1,000 likes at this point on my page, and I don't know how many impressions. A lot. There's like 100,000, I think, which is really cool. And I'm basically friends with Danny at this point. He's good. We've spoken many times. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's been in spaces with me a few times, and I take him very seriously. And I had a conversation with my mother today about what would it be like if that's true. Like, there's an intervention coming, maybe because we're just on the brink down here. We're out of control. The doomsday clock is closer to midnight than it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is just astonishing because when you walk around, people don't feel that way. You go watch old historical footage, Astral, of the Cuban Missile Crisis. People were glued to their televisions. They're like, oh my God, there's nukes in Cuba. They're pointed right at us. Like, the time we live in now is considered far more dangerous than even that was. Those 13 days, which also 13 Days is a movie about the Cuban Missile Crisis that I highly recommend all of you go watch if you're into history. So it's like, okay, the way Sheehan was talking about it is that there's a non-human intelligence, and he's very specific. He says they're extraterrestrial, and he always underpins that, and that's cool. He says that there is an extraterrestrial civilization that has a vested interest in the life-bearing properties of this planet, and that they will not allow any species on this Earth to disrupt its ability to do that. And if we get to a point where we are threatening to do so, especially by way of something like a thermonuclear war, which is very terrifying. It's a really, really, really scary subject for a lot of people. My mom lived through the Cold War. She does not like talking about nukes at all. So that part of the conversation today was deep. We could be looking at what would essentially be the most, I don't even know if there's a real good word in the English language to describe how crazy that would be. Like, my mom even said it. She was like, it would top 9/11 tenfold. Like, it's just far as like the craziest, wildest world event you have ever seen. An intervention from another species, really? Like, I don't think we can top that. Astral, all the noise aside, all the bullshit videos of drones and the nonsense on TikTok and all of that, do you think that's what this is about, potentially? You got the book that Lou did. He called it Imminent. You have a lot of really interesting people saying that something was coming down the pipeline. They even gave a time span. I'm even working on a video about this. That's my next video. It's very literally, is something coming, and what the hell is it? Do you think there's credibility and validity to this, and that we are now on the brink of potentially forcing the hand of whoever these beings are because we are misbehaving in such a way that they now have to remove some of our agency down here?
Yeah, I think the possibility of it being that increases the more we go without any answers. Because right off of the bat, I think a lot of people went to logical explanations. Now we're getting a little bit more further out there with, like reconnaissance of nuclear weapons or looking for something. And I think with the activity that's going on, especially on top of bases, military security installations, where there's not supposed to be any activity above there, and nobody seems to have any answers. And even as early as earlier today, I think Gillibrand and the House Senate committee had a classified briefing
Thank you.
from the Pentagon, and they were disappointed, frustrated about what was said, and the explanations and what they were given. So not even the people who are really pushing for answers. And I think in the long run, that's really going to help the UAP and the UFO topic, because a lot of what drives people to really go into this topic and to explore it and to really, pound the ground about transparency is because there's no answers, or they're stonewalled, and they get frustrated. They're like, what do you mean you don't have the answers? Or, what do you mean, this is hidden from the public? And even Trump talked about this a couple of days ago of what he thought it was and why he thinks it's being hidden from the public as well. So there's that whole aspect of not only do we might not even know, but we might know a little bit and are still hiding that from the public as well.
I like what you brought up there. This was one of the biggest points of contention that I had in my head. I didn't take any notes for the show today. Normally, I type up a bunch of notes, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even think I need to. I can do this off the cuff, and we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. I saw 2 posts earlier, okay? Top post is a statement from the White House talking about how all these drones are hobbyists, the military, and law enforcement, okay? Right? And then right underneath it is another post that they're having a closed door, confidential, secure, classified meeting about the situation. So if it was just hobbyists, law enforcement, and military, I'm going to be very blunt. Why the fuck would there need to be a classified briefing? That doesn't make sense. And again, there's a lot of this like weird dualism going on right now, where and oh my god, I have been waiting to say this all week. I think I said it in your space on Thursday, but I was literally at work yesterday like, I'm gonna say this on the podcast. I know exactly how I'm gonna say it. I know what my face is gonna look like. I want you guys to pay very close attention, so maybe you will understand why I feel the way I do about this current situation. They want us to believe in the same world that we live in, not in dual timelines or parallel universes, but right here, same place, same time, same everything. They want us to believe, on one hand, that they have the ability to spot a terrorist on some mountain in Pakistan with a satellite and disappear them off the face of the earth, right? But on this hand, they don't know where these drones are taking off from, don't know where they're landing, don't know where they're coming from, but also can tell us that they're law enforcement, hobbyists, and military. Think that makes sense, right? They continue to gaslight us, thinking that we're stupid. Yeah, they're just, they're just concerned citizens. People are paying way more attention now. We now have this super interesting, powerful, unique, life-changing tool called the internet that comes equipped with something called social media. Yeah, sometimes social media can be a problem, but in situations like this, man, do we make good use of it? Astral, they're lying, and they know it, and they know that we know, and it's just this ridiculous back and forth. And again, you don't have to declare anything as being NHI or these are like, demons from another universe. We don't have to do any of that. It's really simple. There are logical conclusions one can draw from what is happening, and there are reasonable questions that are being asked, and the answers that they are given are bullshit. They're bullshit. They're so obvious. I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. It's almost like if I went and did something like in your house, I can basically like admit to the crime, but it would be devastating for me to tell you like how I did it. It like there's like this is like a puzzle where we know what the big picture is despite pieces like being missing from the board. We see enough of the forest for the trees. It's just, but you said it, the longer this goes on, and it's still going, it's still happening. I'm in New Jersey. It's happening tonight, right now. It's still going on. The longer this goes on, the more I lean in the direction of something weird is really actually happening. I genuinely feel that way now because dude, you and I have had so many conversations over the last couple of years in spaces on podcasts. I'm not like an irrational nutcase who immediately jumps on to a conspiracy theory. Like I will do my due diligence, and you and I won't always agree on everything, which is why it's great to have you on the show because we need opposing viewpoints. But I'm not immediately going to jump at something. Like there's pieces of footage that people have shared on X where I'm like, that doesn't. That might be an airplane. I'm willing to call something for what I actually think it is instead of just, being Captain UFO and saying, oh, everything's weird. Everything's from space. I don't do that. But honestly, man, this is, I'm just, my gut feeling is that something weird is going on. I'm being sincere and genuine and as honest as I can be. I even woke up with like a feeling this morning that I don't know. So there's something about this situation. And I'm not saying like I'm frightened or anything like that. I don't want it to come off that way. I'm getting like a distinct internal feeling.
Yeah.
That they're here.
What about the other side of the spectrum on that, where it could all be manifested and that this could be a distraction from some of the stuff that has been happening from the hearings all the way up to something, that might be coming in the near future for disclosure. People are talking about whistleblowers coming out. And one of the things I looked at, and I'll some of the comments down there are mentioning the nuclear weapon thing or the nuclear aspect of it. And I think a lot of people talked about already that it wouldn't make sense. And some people have also discussed that they are in contact with the people who would be working on this right now, had it be the implications of it. And I also looked at the legislation, if there was any drone legislation, because drone security seems to be like all of a sudden at the forefront of everything that's going on. And so I looked up if there was any legislation coming up or, in the on the fence or anything like that this event would like push over, because now everybody's banging the door down. We don't have control over our skies. They're in our military bases. We need, so I initially thought military spending, budget, defense, somehow, is they're making light of it, because in reality, you would think about it that this has probably been going on a lot. This didn't just happen like just a month ago. This probably been happening for a while. We've just maybe just noticed it because we're taking the UAP topic seriously. Arrows looking in the sky, they're measuring stuff. NASA's finally looking in the sky, and we're finally like taking it serious. And now we're like, oh crap, we don't have full control over it. We've got stuff flying around kind of everywhere, Chinese balloons. So this isn't the really first time I think we've really publicly acknowledged though that we don't have full control, and that is making an uneasiness feeling, I think, with everyone.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is probably true. Now, I want to address what you guys are saying in the chat here about nuclear material and such. So there was specifically some radioactive material that did go missing in New Jersey, okay? But the amount of material is negligible for anyone to be worried about. You can't do anything with it. You can't build a bomb with it. It's nothing like that at all. I even made a post about it. Excuse me. And I want to, and all right, look, even if that was the case, right? That does not explain why the flap, at least, like, we have to designate a beginning point. This started off in the UK. All right. So now if they were looking for nuclear material, why are people very obviously seeing stuff in the air that they're not used to all over the place? This is one of the main points of contention that I've been bringing up. I brought it up to Ross Coulthart because he has people telling him the same thing, like I do. It's in case you didn't know, those watching, this is not just in New Jersey. UK, Japan, Germany, Australia, China, multiple states over here. At least, I mean, all you have to do is go over to any of the UFO Reddits and hit new and just start scrolling. And there are reports coming in from all over the goddamn place. Now, does that mean every single one of them is something weird? No, it does not. However, Iranian mothership thing, that doesn't make sense to me at this point. I don't see the United States responding to something like that by just letting it happen, okay? Because if that's the case, boy, do we have a real goddamn problem over here. And God knows where our money is going with our military spending. The Pentagon fails audits. Like, holy shit, they've failed all of them. All. Like, they're on their 7th in a row or whatever it is, and it's insane. So that's the problem I have, is that when anybody tries to explain what is happening, and they try to isolate it to just like New Jersey, I'm like, wait, stop for a second, because this didn't start in New Jersey, and it's not only happening in New Jersey. The reason New Jersey, where I live, happens to be the most prominent of the areas right now is probably because we have the largest population per square mile. Next to, and we're right near New York. We're in between New York and Philadelphia, 2 of the biggest cities in the United States. And I literally live within miles of what I believe is the largest joint military base on the East Coast, Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. Okay. And side note on that, there was allegedly in the 70s a craft landed at Fort Dix, and beings got out, and the military shot at them. There's George Filer. I believe he's done work locally in New Jersey with MUFON for years. It's like in his book, I think he's even signed sworn affidavits regarding this, but he's getting really old. He's like in his 80s or his 90s. But he's been saying for decades that he was there, he saw it, and not to mention the fact that my friend Rob, who may even be watching right now, his father back in the 70s saw the craft the day that it happened. He saw it from his backyard. Like, so listen. All right. So, Astral, does it in the least give you pause when, before all this started, Elizondo's book comes out? It's called Imminent, right? John Ramirez has been making comments about something coming. Leslie Keene, like I have, and it's not, it doesn't stop there, because I have a laundry list of different people at different times alluding to that idea. And now John, out of everybody, I think was the most specific. He doesn't go into detail, but he pretty much says, listen, they're coming. They're going to essentially reveal themselves. Now, Sheehan's saying that. Sheehan is saying that an intervention is coming. And the government knows it. And that's why there is a rush by certain people in the Pentagon and in other places to get information out to the public and basically trigger a reasonable disclosure in preparation for, I guess, their arrival, revelation. You know, I don't know if it's an arrival, because they may just already be here and it's just, taking the hood off. What's the likelihood that's actually where this is going? What do you think? Do you think that's really what might have triggered all of this? Is that even starting in 2017, that they knew something? How they know that, I don't know. Maybe Grush is right? That we have treaties with other civilizations. I mean, if you were a betting man, what do you think? Do you think that this is plausible at all?
I think that the disclosure process and pinpointing the date for it or an exact event is going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough to relate to one specific moment. I think there's going to be pockets like Grush, or the Grush event last year, the balloon Chinese balloon event, the drone event this year. It like pushes it for, it's like a step instead of like a gradual increase. Some of these things are step, and then there's like a lull in the topic. So technically you could say that for the first 9 months of this year, there was nothing. The UAP topic was struggling. The UAP Disclosure Act got shot down. Arrow Kirkpatrick was just doing interview after interview. Grush didn't come out with his op-ed. There was a lot of frustration and so these last like 2 months, it's been like, steamrolling for the UFO UAP topic. We just had the program release yesterday.
Yeah, I'm watching it after the show.
The biggest UFO documentary that's supposed to have come out in a while. I'm going to watch it too here pretty soon. So I think that the momentum for the topic is it's been no more popular than it is right now, and it's only going to get that much more popular. I think the question is this going to die down after this drone thing so that people aren't as ready to break down doors about this UAP transparency thing? Like, we wish they would stay around. Like, hey, stay around. There's a lot more to this UAP topic than drones. And I think that's one of the concerns that I wanted to bring up too, is now, do you think that the two topics might be too conflated to where we've jumped so hard on this drone thing that it's going to be tough now to distinguish an actual UAP sighting or an experience, because everybody's like, oh no, it's a drone. Remember, we did this whole drone thing. We already went through this.
Well, I think that is going to happen on some level. However, because so many more people have actually sat down and taken the time to really understand the phenomenon, know what they're looking for, I think a lot more people now are going to take a step back and actually use a reasonable level of discernment when identifying anything. There are guides online all the time. They get upvoted like crazy, as they should. Like, this is this object. Here's a really good example. So if I see objects in the sky all the time because I live next to a military base. If an airplane has all of its landing lights on and it is coming straight at me, it will literally just look like a bright light until it turns, and then you can see the body of the plane. So there are very specific characteristics that you need to be looking for. Like, the 5 observables are actually more important now than when they first started talking about that, and that became like an official term, because that is a distinguishable characteristic, and it separates an object like that from something rudimentary. Like, you don't have jets flying over, coming to a dead stop, and then doing all those types of things. Like, you don't have any of it. It doesn't work that way. The pilot would be on the windshield and he would be human soup. It just won't happen. Also, if you see an object that isn't carrying maybe like regulatory FAA lights, like that's there's little, you have to check off the boxes, but it's unavoidable that things are going to be very muddy for a little bit. It's already like that now. I mean, my God, the most irritating thing, you brought this up the other day. It's like you wake up in the morning and the first friggin' video you see on your social media is it's just a drone. Like, it's just a regular drone. So I'm urging people to ask more questions about this. And don't be blown away at the video of the drone. Ask yourself, why the hell are there so many drones flying around right now? What are they looking for? What are they? What's their purpose? That's what you should be asking. Not, oh shit, look at that drone. Like, it's just a drone. But why is it up there? And the other thing too, and it's like, not everybody's going to agree with this, but at this point, it's like, I'm just going to call a spade a spade. The guy who invented the web bot, Cliff High. He nailed this. Like, Digby and I we have the receipts, dude. Like, we have chats from months ago in WhatsApp where he first sent me some of that stuff. And Cliff High had reached out to the future forecasting group and wanted them to remote view the stuff that he was picking up on his web bot, completely blind. And he was talking about how what we're seeing right now was going to happen. And I mean, he nailed that. And then somebody that some of you may know, he was, I think technically, it was our first or second interview on this podcast. Roy Herbert. Roy messaged me this one day while I was at work and literally told me, hey, things are about to start getting interesting. Watch. Here we are. How he knew that or I don't know, but he was right.
That's funny.
So, like, there are people plugged in to something, and that something has answers before we do. And then you get little bits and pieces and whispers of it. If you're in the community like I am and have sources and things that you've built up over time, sometimes you catch wind of that.
No, it seems planned out. Some of this stuff
Some of it.
rolled out.
Yes, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
You know what we were talking about this week too was imagine if we just learned about Jason Sands, right? And he was the brand new whistleblower that, because I think the what I've heard a lot about is in the UAP Task Force Forum and some of the things that have been discussed with his role. Like he's seen as a pretty important person within those circles. And I think that it gives a little bit more perspective to when he did come out publicly and that we've really got a lot of more into his story just with the community interaction with him, so that we understand it. And I think that we are able to explain it now with people who may see the program in the future and make those connections. But I'm interested to see too with some of these whistleblowers that are coming out, because there's also newer whistleblowers in the program that are coming public. Ryan Graves has hinted about another whistleblower.
That's true. Yep.
So there's just a lot, I think, that has the momentum of stuff that could happen in the future.
Yeah, and I saw too that Ryan went back on Joe Rogan. I got to watch that. Boy, I'm gonna have a fun night tonight.
I saw the
UAP
the UAP Disclosure Fund just posted something to where they have successfully backed up a whistleblower that's coming out.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Or something. So
that's fantastic, and that has to happen. Listen.
Yeah, like with law fees and stuff. I know. Yeah, you've talked about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because if you are making extraordinary claims like this, and then you start asking for money instead of looking too much further past that, a lot of people see that and just think that it's a grift. But if you really think about it, if you were actually in that situation, you would magically find that you would have to do the same exact thing. That's just how this works, unfortunately. The system isn't set up to be kind to these people at all. And I've become friends with Jason over time. I met Jason the day that he revealed himself to the public in that space on X. And then I'm in a group chat with him. We talk a lot. And I've become friends with the guy. I believe Jason. I'm say what you want about his story. Like people can pick apart what they want, but I'm just giving you my gut impression after actually taking the time to learn who he is as a person. First of all, he's a patriot. Second of all, I think he's telling the truth. I genuinely believe that he is telling the truth and that he believes what he is saying as fact. Like, regardless of the events. Maybe he was brainwashed. I have absolutely, and I'm not even saying that, but I'm just saying that there's all these possibilities. You have no idea. I believe that the story that Jason Sands is telling is what he believes in his heart to be true, and that it is something that he recalls in memory and experienced on some level. So I have told you guys about this before. I have two very, very specific sources. They are my sources. And I don't know who they talk to besides me. It's not my business. If they're on social media, they are not public. I'm sure they're there somewhere hiding in the shadows, but these are sources that had reached out to me. And I built up a rapport with them, and they've given me things over time. And I'll tell you what one of them told me about this whole situation. And again, I want to be very careful. This isn't like a trust me bro. It's nothing like that. They were really specific in telling me that, hey, this is what I had a couple close people tell me based on things that they know. And then they put those pieces together. Okay. this person thinks that a non-human element, intelligence, whatever it may be, either arrived or began arrive. Like it started popping up in droves, and the drones serve two purposes. And it's kind of like a kill multiple birds with one stone situation. First function is that the drones are actually up there observing them, which is actually what it looks like in that video clip that we played at the start of the show, ironically enough, and quite astonishingly. Second function, to muddy the waters and to possibly gain control over the narrative and to kind of quell some things. Be like, well, hey, look, it's just drones. You got all these orbs flying around. Then you send up a bunch of these drones, and they're going to kind of get lost in the mix. So it also serves that purpose. But then the third purpose that just kind of comes equipped with it just inherently is it serves as a functional psychological test on the public. Like, how would the public react if
War of the Worlds? Yeah.
Right. Yes. So that's what he told me. And again, but he was very clear saying that, he's like, I might be wrong, but this is what so and so and so and so were telling me based on some pieces that they put together. The Iranian mothership thing, first of all, they should have never used the word mothership. You should have said sea vessel that has the ability to launch drones. Because when you use the word mothership, like 99 out of 100 regular, Marys and Teds are going to be like, oh my God, dude, Close Encounters, right? Like that wasn't the best term to use. In the sniffing thing, looking for nuclear material, again, the story that came out of my state about missing radiological material, it wouldn't be over Pine Gap sniffing for that if it's in New Jersey. That just doesn't make sense. Why, if that was the cause of all of this, why is Ross getting intel, Ross Coulthard, that they're over Pine Gap? Why are people seeing them in Arizona? Why are people seeing them in China, Japan, Germany, Bulgaria? I mean, it's all over the place. Here, I'll show you. And here, we got more video. I'll show you guys another video clip. This video comes from Hamilton, New Jersey. I don't have too much more on that, other than the area in which it came from. Here, I want to make sure I'm playing the right clip here. Let's see. All right, here we'll just go in order. This is from New Jersey. Might not be the Hamilton one. I'll play that next too because they're both short. Regular motion. No discernible light pattern. Odd characteristics at that point. It's not like it's just doing a regular flashing, zipping around, kind of willy-nilly. And its movement is really weird. It looks like now they're looking around for it. There's no noise. And at this distance, I've been near drones many times. At that distance, you would hear the propellers. I don't see any propellers.
Yeah. No, that's a strange one.
Yeah, well,
it goes in and out too. It's tough to tell the distance of it.
Right. And that's the other thing too, is that one of the most easily recognizable characteristics of aircraft, being that I have grown up with this around me, is that when it has lights that are flashing, it is always in a pattern. There are regulations about this. So if you see a light in the sky that's dancing around like that, and it flashes, and then it's off, and then it's doing things that aren't showing a discernible pattern, that sticks out. That's something you should look for. Like that if you see that, that'll grab your attention. That's when you start asking questions. That is pretty interesting. However, I think this one deserves a hell of a lot more attention. And it's been gaining some traction. This one, I believe, is the one from Hamilton. It's hard for me to even say what I'm looking at here. It's like you have these two odd lights kind of dancing around, and then one after the other, after the other, after the other. And then boom. Like what the hell was that?
It might be a flare.
Maybe, right? Like it could,
yeah.
like, I know what you're saying, like, because
that, but I wouldn't have thought that till the very end, until that explosion of like, it was like, psh, 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 like a firework or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just right off of the bat of going to what maybe some of the explanations could be, but yeah, that was in the beginning where it like tails off.
Yeah. But it's like, it's like you see that people are gonna have questions, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the other thing too. This, if anything, this whole situation is doing a really, really good job at further grading trust in government and military officials. I mean, honestly, this is really, really pounding that into the ground. Now, you see, there's another clip. I got to see if I have it. If not, I'll just download it onto my computer really quick. Okay, so yeah, that was from Hamilton Lake, New Jersey, that last clip. And let's see if there's any. The video is from an individual named Danielle Brubaker. And that's pretty much all the information that we have on that one. And they had shared it initially on Facebook. Did you see the clip that came out of Phoenix, Arizona, the one that I posted on X, where there's like there's an orb, and then it looks like a drone approaches the orb and then shoots the drone down, quote unquote, because that, yeah.
No,
okay.
I don't know if I saw that one.
All right, here, I'm gonna I have it. I just got it. I just download this. This one, it's on my profile. But I again, I like sharing clips like this specifically because it stands out. It's not just like, oh, here's 3 lights and one's blinking, and
Right.
it's a lot more than that. Here, I got it right here. Video file. Yeah, and this is not New Jersey.
Something's going up real fast.
This is in Phoenix.
A plane? I can't tell what it is. Whoa, is that moving quick? That could be a drone. I don't know what the hell that is. But that is quick. There's only one remaining right now.
And again, it shows another one of these, you know,
Whatever that green
plasmoid lights, these orange balls of light that don't seem to have any like real features other than they're self-illuminated. And here's an actual drone. It appears to be a drone blinking, coming to check it out. We love Matt Laszlo here, Gus. Thanks for sharing that, buddy.
Oh, he's like right on it.
And now look at this.
Whatever it was,
There goes the
shot
drone. I mean, dude,
Wow.
that's nuts. That's pretty crazy, right? Like,
Yeah.
see, I see that and I'm just like, I don't know. I get goosebumps, bro. I'm just like, that's weird. That's really genuinely weird. And it's like one of the few times where I'm like, oh shit, a good video from TikTok.
Right.
I saw that post that you made. It's like, oh man, TikTok.
Well, it's I mean, even, you know, it's hard to, because of the how they're shared, right, and presented a lot of the time. I think it's in a
100%.
manner where, you know, if it was just a video and it was really and that was, because you could tell just from the reaction of the person shooting it and what they were experiencing, if they weren't over exaggerating it, because I had the same reaction in my head watching it of like, oh snap, like they got close and then it started falling. So it's like drone wars. Who Elon Musk even hinted at this when this was first going on. He's like drone wars, and the Cliff High thing was interesting too, because he sort of like was hinting at that and saying that in a way from his prediction too, from the prediction that he was looking at. So I don't know, super
It's
strange.
so weird. I've known about Cliff High for a really, really long time. Actually, I first learned about the web bot in it was like in high school, I think, because he gained prominence with the web bot when it seemed to have picked up on something about to happen prior to 9/11, and that's kind of how he got thrust into the consciousness online. But I'm telling you, if you go back and watch the videos that he made way, way, way before this whole drone thing started, like he was very, very uncannily close in predicting what was going to happen. And again, I don't know what that means. But it has something to do with human language and things of that nature. There's obviously some sort of function in reality that we don't understand. And it's like, well, how is that possible? It hasn't happened yet. It's in the future. Well, quantum physics will tell you recent experiments have been done that data suggests that on some level, the future has an effect on the past. And this is why I mentioned Roy earlier. I told him how I pictured time based on all of the things that I've learned over time. And I told him that instead of looking at it as like, a flat plane and here's the past, and then the present's always happening, and then the future's down here, I look at it almost like a plate, like a round plate where you have the ability to move in like equidistantly in like 360 degrees, like a physical plane. And he told me that it was pretty accurate. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool coming from a physicist that knows way more than I do about any of that. So I was like, we'll go with that, man. I'm going with dinner plate time. I like it. I got to get Roy back on the show too. So I mean, I don't know where we're going from here, but I just have a feeling, man, like that this is going to get weirder before it becomes more normal. It's really how I'm feeling at the moment. I don't know. How long have we been going for? Oh no, well, yeah, we'll do an hour. An hour's totally cool. So we usually have like little video clips that we play for like the segments, like speculation station and all that. I think Digby forgot to upload them into the system. Also, correction, this is actually season 3.
Nice.
He's right, because I'm actually thinking about it. We had like the gray and
Last
orange,
season,
yellow.
you switched it up. Then you had the pink, then the street graffiti. I like that one too.
Yeah, and then I did this one, which was kind of like inspired by oddly like 90s Japanese television. It's don't ask me how that happened, but I was like, oh, this looks cool. So I do have one more clip. This has nothing to do with the drones, but this is really weird. I was scrolling through Reddit and I found this. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the name of the film correct. Somebody was watching a movie, and I don't know if they were watching it on like Xfinity or one of those cable company platforms, because everybody has their own on-demand streaming service essentially. But the film is called Niagara. It's from 1953, starring Joseph Cotton and Marilyn Monroe, directed by Henry Hathaway. There is a scene where a helicopter comes into the shot, but I want to direct you all to look at the screen. I'm going to go full screen on this one. I'll pause it real quick. We're going to go full screen. I want you guys to look in the bottom left-hand corner. See it? Oh. Why is the clip? So the clip. Oh, that's really weird. Why is it doing that? There we go. I don't know. I think StreamYard's being weird. Here, let me back it up a little bit. See it?
Oh, snap.
Dude, how weird is that? Like, come on. Like, that's
That is
weird as
crazy.
hell. That's weird as hell. Like, there's no reason for that.
That
No
is
reason.
funny. It's like just moving, just gently gliding across the bottom.
But it's so clearly a flying
Yeah.
saucer, a disc, metallic.
It's
Now,
wild.
I downloaded the film. I won't say how I downloaded it, but we'll just say I downloaded it from the internet, and it may or may not have cost me money to do so. And hint, hint, the Pirate Bay. Excuse me. Anyways, yeah. So it's there. It's in the. It was there, dude. But what's really interesting is that somebody else found a different copy of it. I don't know, remastered or whatever. That came out in a different year, and because of the filter that they use, it's still there, but it just looks different. But there is no question it's there. That was not added in post by somebody with After Effects or anything of that nature. I went and grabbed that movie off the internet, and I went to that part, and that object is there. I mean, come on. That's weird
crazy.
as hell for no
For real.
reason. It's from
That's
the
a good
50s.
find.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a good find. I thought it was insane. So I love these two. Rainstorm Hunter in the chat says, I've got a clip from the news. They were filming a plane and an orb is right behind the tail on live TV. I've seen a lot of stuff like that. Did you guys see the news clip? It's actually from, I think it's from a local affiliate in New Jersey. They were just zoomed in on an orb. And they were just literally like, yeah, we don't know what that is. I was like, oh shit. Let's see if let me see if I have that one. We encountered an error. Oh well,
It's like the best that we got is accidental. We accidentally filmed it. Even like the NASA ones that are supposedly out there.
Oh, you mean the ice crystals? I'm like, oh yeah, ice crystals that seem to be changing trajectory at lightning speed and avoiding projectiles. Yeah, those ice crystals. Oh wow, check that out. And no, I'll have to try to find that clip. But I mean, it's funny now too. As we're about to end the show here, it would appear that the drone situation, as we'll call it, drone gate or whatever the hell, it's the top story right now. It is actually like the top story seemingly everywhere right now, which is actually pretty wild. I don't know, I'll have to look for that clip. Somebody had shared it on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. So before we wrap up here, Astral, we'll pretend that we played the speculation station clip. I want you to think of, and it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be about the drones. It could be anything. What do you want to leave people with for the rest of the week until our next episode for them to ponder?
Yeah, I think that, there's a lot going on in the community. I've less gotten to where I'm speculating on what's going on exactly, and more of tried to stay to my real interest in the topic, which for me are consciousness-based, high strangeness, psychic phenomenon. And so I don't want to get myself too wrapped up in the physical craft aspect of this, while I do think it's very interesting and concerning. And one of the things that I just saw on X is this guy Tyler Rogaway, who's been writing on the topic. I thought he made a really good point here in one of his posts. He says a major drone domain awareness issue can exist and still be a UAP problem. And the fact is they're blurred together heavily. It's an issue and also a major opportunity. So I think that it's growing the topic, but also I think there still needs to be a firm distinction between a drone, a mystery drone, and an official UAP experience or sighting. And I think it's going to be hard maybe as we go forward, but I think the people in the community, the researchers, even people in the chat seem to be very involved in, crowdsourcing the information to try and just figure it out. I think we're going to find a lot of sightings that are posted that, are initially interesting off the bat that may have a prosaic explanation, but that doesn't mean don't post the sighting, like don't share your stuff. I think the more that we get from that, the stigma is being reduced, where people feel comfortable enough to share their stuff and talk about this stuff and come out and have these open conversations. When if you were talking about this stuff 10 years ago, somebody made a great point. They were like, if I was talking about my abduction experience 20 years ago, I'd be throwing the loony bin. And so now, it's a different take. The stigma is reduced. People are taking the topic very seriously. We have our leaders in government, quote unquote leaders, that are taking this topic very seriously. They're not poo-pooing it, throwing it to the side and shit like that. So, yeah. And I think this just is going to elevate the topic, but like you said, it's going to require us to do a little bit more diligence in being able to figure out some of this stuff, work together, being open to new people coming in that might not be as up to date and up to the field as everybody else. But, that's just going to be what we're going to see.
Yeah. It's a really good point that you're making too. Because we see a lot of infighting that happens in the community, and this person, a year ago said something wacky in a group chat. It's like, the actual solution to those types of problems would actually be to encourage like better behavior from that person moving forward. Can they learn from the things that they did wrong? Because no one's perfect, right? We all have skeletons in our closets. We all have demons that follow us, right? So there's a lot of really good, talented people in our community that I feel like some of their work kind of gets pushed to the side because of like, some controversial stance they had, or, stuff like that. And I feel that with everything that's going on right now, there needs to be a very hard focus on whatever they're bringing to the table,
Right.
And as far as what I want to leave people with, in the midst of all this craziness, I want people to remember that you hold the power to make your voices heard. And I know this might sound cliche and probably heard it a million times, but I'm so serious. If I can at least inspire you to do something. If you have a concern about what's happening over your house, these objects, all these things that are happening, contact your local officials. Write a letter. Type up an email. It doesn't even have to be long. But, do it with some conviction and say, listen, as a tax-paying citizen of the state of New Jersey or wherever you may be, I have concerns about what's going on right now, and I demand answers, because the more that builds up, again, there's going to be more pressure. Look at the progress that's been made in the UFO topic, and you could actually take everything that has progressed from 2017 onward, and the one main factor was pressure, because people started asking questions instead of just reading the headline and not doing any more than that. They decided, well, let me read the headline and the article. Now let me see who wrote the article. Let me see who that person talks to. Like, people started becoming more active, more diligent, and began to realize that this is an artificial stigma. People didn't feel this way towards this topic because they were born that way. They were brainwashed into feeling that way by a concerted effort by the powers that be to make you think that way. They wanted you to feel that this was a joke, that it's silly, that we shouldn't be talking about it. It's like, well, as a species that lives on a planet in this solar system in the universe, how would we? It's like, how do you actually approach a situation where someone else comes down here? Bloop, here they are. What? Now we're all nuts? Like, life exists here on this planet, so chances are it's also somewhere else. And if that civilization comes and visits us, what are we going to do? Act like it's not there? Tell the people that what they're seeing is a lie? You can only gaslight the public so much before they begin to smell your bullshit. It's just not going to work. It's not working anymore. And I think that's also one of the factors in a concerted effort for a planned, reasonable, and responsible disclosure, where you don't have to tell them every last little detail of every little thing, but give the citizens of this planet a basic understanding. Like, hey, listen, a lot of you suspected that we were probably covering this up. Well, we were. And now they can maybe, I don't know, explain why they did that. Hey, something crashed in Roswell in 47. We were scared and we reacted very quickly in what we thought was the best possible way at that time. And then we kind of drug it out because we were still afraid of certain things. We didn't want certain technologies getting into the hands of enemies and taking over the planet. And, there are good reasons for secrecy that existed. Absolutely. I am totally willing to concede that. But it's been long enough. They can give us some of the basics. They can tell us something did crash at Roswell. They can tell us that, yes, we have been visited and that, yes, we're still being interacted with. And maybe they don't have all of the answers in certain areas. I swear to God, they're afraid to admit that, even though they tell us a lot of times, oh, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. They are very hesitant to admit that they don't know when it comes to something that would be disruptive to the narrative of, oh, we control everything. We control the skies. We're the ultimate force. They don't want to give up that mental control of, oh, the United States Air Force is like it's the be all end all in the sky. The US Navy is the be all end all in the ocean. It's not. There's something else here. And people are really starting to realize that. And it's going to take a lot for them to admit that we are not necessarily the most advanced people living on this particular street in the cosmos. It's tough, and people are going to have to get used to it. Reality is reality. Facts don't care about your feelings. And honestly, if you're afraid of all this, I'll just say this before we close out. If this all does honestly scare you, if you're scared right now, I don't think you should be scared, because if they wanted to suck our brains out or blow us to kingdom come or any of those things, pretty sure it would have happened already. There's a lot more at play, a lot more at stake. And I always argue that if they had any hand in our evolution or creation, that we may literally be their pride and joy, and they may actually care about us. That's only one. That's one particular intelligence. Gary Nolan said it. The data suggests that not all of these phenomena appear to conform to the same command structure. There's probably other beings in the neighborhood, and they may not all come from the same place. Just like here. It's literally, it's just like high school. It's just like your job. Like, there's different types of people with different ideas and different agendas. But, man, Astral, thank you so much for being here, man. I'm glad that my computer didn't crash, and I'm glad that I solved some of the audio issues I was having before the show. Where can people find you on social media, sir?
Yeah, I do a lot of my stuff over on X, and you could find me a lot of my connected websites and social media on just my website that I built myself. It's theastral.com.
Oh yeah, sweet. And you guys know you can follow me here on YouTube, Cortex Zero. And also follow me on X. It's probably where I'm most active in comparison to pretty much anywhere else outside of YouTube. It's right there on the screen at Cortex_0 for myself and Astral. And for Digby, who is here in spirit. And for all of you in the chat, all of you open-minded folk out there, thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Unidentified Anomalous Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And we will see you next time. Be safe. And treat each other with as much love and as much compassion as you possibly can, more than you have ever done in your life, just 'cause.